Okay, here we go, everybody. It is another Leaders Rise Here edition. And we are really excited to talk to you tonight because tonight is going to be a really nice complement to what happened last week with Gretchen talking about real tactics and specifics about what do I say. We're going to follow up with the natural progression from there.
Gretchen covered, if anyone missed it, make sure you go back and watch her call. It was about what to say when someone says, sure, I'll take a look, and really diving into the goals portion. So if you didn't watch last week and you're like, how come they're not asking about the goals? It's because that was already covered and we're kind of picking up after you've discussed goals with them.
We do want to share one announcement of a rank advancement that happened amongst this team in the last week. So congratulations to AJ Oye, who just hit manager, correct? Way to go, AJ. Woo-hoo! That's awesome. Is she on? I'm not seeing. So way to go.
And if you have any launch parties coming up, definitely put them in the chat. I know there's some in the works on our team, and shout out to Eunice and Susan, who just had one yesterday, and they had a lot of great attendance. So
we want tonight to be pretty interactive. We want you to be asking questions. If you want to be typing them in the chat, because it's the both of us, hopefully one of us is looking at any given time to see any questions so that we can address those as it happens, or really just unmute yourself and talk, because we want this to be serving you in the best way possible. If something comes up and you need to know, ask that question, because that's what we're here for. So Gretchen really took that relationship aspect of the conversation and talking about goals and that kind of thing in a really good way last week. And tonight's topic is, how do you get the sale, right? Like, how do you get the enrollment? And I think this is probably a question that is pretty relevant, because I know all of us love Isagenix and we love sharing Isagenix, but we also like to get paid. Like, we're not doing this for nothing. So the way we get paid is to actually help people get started with their own Isagenix accounts, right? That's what we're here to do. So how do you what things need to be said to get to the point where you're starting to sign someone up with their own account? So let's talk about that tonight. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is posture. And people hear that word a lot in this world of Isagenix, of, that word posture. And what does that mean? And to me, posture describes the confidence and certainty with which you convey your speech, how you talk about something, right? So there may be some of you on this call who know what posture is and have heard that and say, that's great. If I had posture, I would probably be killing in this business, but it's just not something that I have. And what I would say is that posture is something that you can absolutely get. And the secret to posture, and everybody write this down, the secret to having posture is belief. The secret to getting belief is to immerse yourself in what we have going here, in what Isagenix is all about, in how other people talk about Isagenix, in this group, in people's stories. And building that belief is what gives you the posture to talk in a way that people respond. So the first lesson of tonight is, it's not what we say, it's how we say it. It all comes down to how we say it, right? Because you can fumble over your words, you can say the wrong things, but what people pick up on is your enthusiasm, but more importantly, your certainty. Your certainty comes across when you know that everybody can benefit from putting this nutrition in their bodies, and that you have absolute certainty that you are doing them a service by helping them get started with this. This isn't like, to you, in the way you talk to people, this isn't like a luxury item that they could like, that would be good for them if they had the money to do it. Like, it's an extra. No, you have the certainty that everyone needs this for their own well-being, and to raise the standard of their life. And if that's how you really believe about Isagenix, that will come across in how you talk about it. And you will ask for people to get started because you're so certain that it's going to change their life. So that really is kind of the first lesson in how do you get someone to get started, right? So Heidi, why don't you take up, maybe you can talk about Michelle Schaefer today a little bit.
Yeah, so if you were not on today's call at noon, the 90-day action plan, you absolutely need to watch the call from today. She goes over so many objections and so many of the things that we're talking about tonight and gives amazing verbiage. I don't know if it's been posted in Everyday Rockstars yet. Yes, Allison's nodding. Okay.
Saying yes.
Yeah, so it is in there. Definitely watch it. I've already watched it twice today. So I'm going to steal some of her nuggets because they were just so good. And one of the ways, to build belief, as Brian was saying, is to really understand like all of the knowledge and the science behind Isagenix. Watch the Green Law, ISA All-Stars, Superstars, ISA All-Stars podcast, or listen to them. And it's not about like understanding every little thing about every product so that you can communicate that to your potential customers. It's so that you have that belief yourself on why these products are so amazing. So after you've discussed their goals, as Gretchen said last week, what do you say next? So what I like to do is to kind of preempt the price objection, is to ask them what they're doing for their nutrition right now. That really helps me get an idea into what they're using, where there might be gaps in their nutrition, what things Isagenix can substitute for them. I ask them to walk me through what a typical day looks like, and if they don't give me a lot of information, I'll ask more follow-up questions. Are you going to Starbucks? Do you stop at the gas station? Do you drink Red Bull? Do you take any vitamins? Do you take any pre-workouts? Just really asking all those questions so you can understand where Isagenix can provide a solution for them.
So you're not just finding out how much they're spending, you're finding out nutritional habits and where Isagenix could fit into their life.
Yep. So as they're talking about those things, I'll write notes if I'm on the phone, or even if I'm on Zoom, I'll still write notes, and I'll kind of get a general idea of what they're spending. And I'll ask them, I'll say, so would you say between, you said you had this for breakfast, this for lunch, you're stopping at Starbucks, you're spending about $18 a day. And they'll either say yes, no, they'll adjust from whatever you've said. And then once they've given me an amount, and we'll go over, like, if, let's say they say $4 a day is what they're spending, which I seem to get a lot lately, like really obscenely low amount. So we'll talk about that objection in a little bit. But first of all, does anyone have any questions about like what to ask as far as, talking about nutrition, or are you getting any objections as far as asking those questions? Okay. So then after they've said, yeah, I'd say about $18 a day, then how do you present the packs?
So you do have to start the conversation about the packs and the best way that they can get started. Like you have to transition the conversation from this whole like goals and habits, and really start to like give your recommendation, because ultimately for them to get started, you're going to have to recommend, because they don't know, right? Unless they've already researched it all themselves and understand what all the packs are and already know what they want. That's very rare that happens. So now you have to really start educating on their options, right? So now think of yourself as a customer. You don't want this to be really complicated and confusing, because once it is, you turn off, right? So once I know that they're going to be in the weight wellness category, I basically say, you have 3 options, and let me explain them. The first option is the 30-day system. It's the bare bones system that gets you everything you need to cover your meals for the 30 days, your shake supplies and your cleanse supplies for your first month. Your second option is called the premium pack. This pack I love, because not only does it give you what you get in your in the 30-day system, but it adds in the all-important snacks, which really gets a lot of people in trouble. So for this premium pack, for just like an extra $100, you're getting a box of E-shots, a box of bars, a box of Ice of Delights, a free blender, free membership, whey thins, like all these things come extra in a premium pack. I love the premium pack. But my true and best recommendation for you would be to start with the value pack. If you really want to ensure your success in having a great first month in Isagenix, the value pack is the way to go. That not only addresses your meals and your snacks, but addresses all of your vitamin and mineral needs as well. So when you add in the amazing vitamins from Isagenix, in the value pack, you're also adding in greens and a $25 off coupon for your second order and 2 coupons to help 2 friends get started. It's an amazing way to get started. So I've given them
I have a
3
question
options.
for you.
Yeah.
Do you so when you explain those packs, then are you not saying $10, $15, and $20 a day during that?
I generally don't.
Okay, so then when do you
So
talk about money?
Well, one thing that I've
See, we even
learned, one thing that I've learned is I've started people on value packs without ever telling them how much it costs or them ever asking me how much it costs. I think oftentimes we project onto our customer that they're going to object about money. Unless it comes up, I don't address it, right? So if they start asking about how much, then we start having that conversation. But I'm not going to assume on them that money is going to be a problem and we better start justifying how much they're going to be paying. If that comes up, then yeah, we'll have that conversation. But I'm not going to project that on them and then have like a whole discussion about something that they don't even care about anyway, because they're going to buy it regardless. They just want to know what pack. Like they'll probably say, okay, if I get the premium pack, how much is it? Like they probably will ask.
And then at that point, do you say $15 a day or do you say $3.99?
I would say the $15 a day, so it comes out to $3.99, and that includes your free membership. And because ultimately they're going to want to know what their total is once they enroll. So I don't like hide around the $400 price. I mean, that's what the price is. But saying first $15 a day, if you've already had that conversation about them spending $20 a day, then it clicks in their head like, oh yeah, well, I'm already spending that. Okay. Allison said, I agree, half people don't care as much. So I think it's something that we project on our customer often, that they are going to have a price objection when maybe they won't.
Mary, can you clarify what you meant about what about the family? I don't know if you saw her question.
We're not hearing you, Mary.
Okay, I'm unmuted now.
Yep, there you go.
Just you were talking about what people are eating every day or and I was looking at a family. A mother needs the products more than her kids, but how do you get the mom to take care of herself when the kids are having cereal or getting ready for work, or, the extended family won't be doing the shakes, although they could easily do the shakes, but how do we get her to see that it's a good value for her?
Sure. Well, there is still a cost associated with what she's nourishing herself with. So even though she is buying food for the kids and the family, she can replace the grocery cost that usually goes toward her with Isagenix, and if she can still see how that makes sense and that it's actually a net gain on her cost, like that's one way to describe it.
I would also go back to her goals. I would assume that a tired mom who's eating cereal for breakfast, I would ask her, like, do you feel like you're getting all of the energy and nourishment you need from your cereal to provide you with energy until your noon nap time? Is that a potential problem? Like, can Isagenix, the nutrition of it, be that solution that gives you the energy? So I would circle it back to the goals too.
So I've now described kind of these 3 options. I have tried not to make it too complicated. I probably got even a little too wordy with you right now about describing the 3. But then the next question needs to be, what do you think? Or what would you think would work best for you? And shut up. Right? Because this is where we start to get nervous that we might make this sale or get this enrollment, and we just start jabbing. So just shut up. Ask them what they think would be best for them. And see what they say.
There is in your ISO Life Planner, I have a post-it on page 8, they do talk about the packs and, which sounds like the best fit for you. I do feel like their verbiage on the packs is maybe a bit wordy, but it's a great place for you guys to, refer to if you're new and you don't, quite know how to describe each pack. It's a great resource. Okay, so.
I mean, the other thing that I would stress is to say some line to basically ask if they want to get started. Like, I will usually say, so you want to do it? Or, so should we do it? And just like, I'm going to get a yes or no. And oftentimes it's like, yeah, then I just like, all right, let's get you going. And then we go right into it, like enrolling information, instead of just like dragging this out forever because you're so scared to actually ask for the sale, right? Ultimately, we're providing a solution, but think of yourself as a customer and you're in a some kind of scenario where someone's trying to sell you something. The easiest way off the hook is if they never ask you if you want to buy it. And you just can walk away, right? I mean, like, go ahead and ask. Like, do you want to get started? Or like the line Gretchen used last week is like, is there anything else I can answer to help you make a decision? That way they might then have an objection or a question, something that you can, now you're not guessing what their objection might be, but you're just flat out asking them. So it's about, again, posture, and you're so confident that this is going to help them, you are assuming the enrollment. So to say something like, so you want to get going? Like, should we get started? You are just going along with that kind of posture, like, of course they would, right? The worst thing that can happen is they say no. But worse than that is if you never ask and then you never get the opportunity.
All right. Any questions about the packs or actually asking for the sale? And I'm going to go into like, if they say yes or no, what you do.
Lisa's asking if people are just interested in a certain product, you push it all towards the packs. How do you lead that conversation?
I mean, I guess it depends on where in the conversation the product is, or like the one product is brought up. Like if someone comes to me, I'll just use the performance line, for example, and they're like, oh, I want a pre-workout. I'll say, oh yeah, our pre-workout's awesome, but let me tell you how I use the whole system. And I will explain to them how I use everything. Hopefully I will have had a discussion about their goals and like if they're running or maybe they're really struggling with being sore, just really circling back to the power of the system. And I am going to talk about if, as far as budget goes, and if they say like, no, the pack is too much, kind of going the other way, but.
And Lisa, there's definitely the time and place where you just meet the person where they are. They want shakes, you're going to give them shakes, right? Mm-hmm. You give people what they want. But you could say something like, that's totally cool. I would be remiss to not tell you how like I feel like these products all work together.
Allison said the key is you had a discussion about the goal. So if they say they want to lose 100 pounds, but they just want to get shakes, I'd say, well, if your goal is to lose 100 pounds, I really recommend getting a system because then you're getting the Cleanse Day supplies and the ionics and those things that are really going to help set you up for success to reach your goals.
And although these shakes are great on their own, they work even better with the whole system and using the cleanse. And that's when you're really going to get your best chance for success on these products, is to use it as a system. Again, if they still just want to get shakes, let them just get shakes.
Karen asked if they're looking to just do the cleanse, where they don't need to lose weight, what do you recommend there? I still recommend a 30-day system. They're just going to use the products differently. They're not going to replace 2 meals. It's going to supplement their meals. They might have a shake for breakfast and then a larger calorie snack and then a full lunch. And then maybe their second shake is the second snack and then another meal. So they might be having 2 shakes and 2 full meals, or maybe they upgrade them to pro so that they're getting more calories. And then, depending on why, they're either underweight or need to gain weight, I would say either do daily cleansing or, just do like half-day cleanses. And then they're still going to need the ionics. So I still, even if people aren't looking to lose weight or even gain weight, I still recommend the packs.
Yeah, and Jill has someone who just wants cleanse and not the shakes. And that was almost the same answer, which is the cleanse is great, but it's designed to work with the nutrition of these shakes and to set the body up to receive the cleanse. The shakes are key in that process.
Yeah, and that cleanses are intermittent fasting and you're detoxifying, but then you need the high quality nutrition of the isogenic shakes to replenish your body.
Chelsea's saying that she had someone who wanted to do just the cleanse because they were using another shake company's shakes. What would you do there? I've never run into that, but I kind of would still want them just to get isogenics in their pantry so that they could experience it, and then they would maybe move to our shakes at a later time.
Yeah, I'm all about meeting people where they're at. Some people get very adamant of not until you're ready to do a system. I personally believe in meeting people where they're at, which is kind of a good segue into, so if you offer the packs and you say, all right, what do you think? Are you ready to get started? And they say, no. And then usually for me, the most common objection that follows that when they say no is it's just too expensive. And the line from today that I thought was amazing when they say it's too expensive is compared to what? Just ask them that. And her example was, are they comparing it to ramen noodles and the dollar menu at McDonald's, or are they comparing it to, organic milk and chicken and, so you can get an idea of why do they say it's expensive, and just keep it very simple. Compared to what? What's their point of reference? So I thought that was a great nugget. Before I learned that nugget today, how I usually, answer it when they say it's too expensive. I'll circle back, to what we talked about with where they're spending their money, and back to their goals on how, again, if the cereal is not giving them the energy they need, isogenics is going to help them reach that goal of being able to play with their kids in the afternoon instead of taking a nap. And then if they're still I don't have enough money, I can really only spend $100 this month, I'll usually give them 2 options. I'll say, would you rather save up for a month or 2 so you can buy the full system, or do you want to just get started with your $100 budget right now? And then I try to work with them to get them whatever I can within that budget. And that kind of goes back to, I think it was Lisa's question, that if it is, enough to do 1 shake a day and some ionics, those are usually the 2 things I start with, then that's what they start with. That's also when I bring up the other option is Isogenics has an amazing referral bonus program. So if you can, grab 2 friends, grab your mom and your best friend and have them start with you, and that's going to cover almost the full cost of your first month's worth. That's also when I bring up sharing when I get that price objection. Any other questions with if you ask them and they say no, are you guys getting any other common objections at that point? Okay.
What if they say that they want to talk to their spouse?
Do you want to answer that one? This was also answered in today's call.
Yeah. Refer
back to the noon call.
So oftentimes when someone says that, it's really just an out, right? It's just a way to not make the decision now, because if you say I have to talk to my spouse, then you buy yourself time. They're not ready right now to make the decision. And that kind of how I would take that, which is fine. So then the right follow-up is, when can I follow up with you next? When would be the best time for me to follow up with you, so that you already are establishing that you will follow up. And just let them get away with it, saying that they need to talk to their spouse. Don't start challenging them on that, because we don't want to get involved with like relationships and stuff. We don't want to say like, your husband shouldn't have anything to do with this decision, you know, but I think it's just a way for them to buy some time. They're not quite ready for the decision right now.
So there's tons of questions popping up in the newsfeed, and honestly, like we only have 4 minutes left. And I want to wrap up what to do when they say, yeah, I want to do the value pack. I want to answer that. There's really awesome questions in here, and I don't know if Allison can be writing them down, and maybe when we do our next Q&A, but I will say that a lot of these questions were answered in the noon call. So make sure you go back and watch that, because it's answering tons of these objections. It's all objections. So when people say, yes, I want to do the value pack, can you raise your hand if you've used IsoLife to send over a cart and you've had someone enroll that way?
Yeah, so that's the new,
2 people. Okay, you guys,
the new way to do it.
It's awesome. That's how I did my last 2 enrollments, and kind of this doesn't totally answer Chelsea's question, but I did both of those enrollments without getting on the phone, because I feel like that cart option really helps. You know, you don't have to ask for people's information over, so you can ask about their goals, what they're eating, explain the packs, and then say, all right, what flavors do you want? You get their flavor preferences. You enter them into a recommended cart in your back office, and then you use the IsoLife app to send over the cart you created for them. And then you like get little notices on your phone, like, oh, they've started their enrollment. They like took out the extra box of shakes you put in there for them. And then they enter their personal information, their payment information, and it's done. Like my last 2 enrollments, it was so slick. So I highly recommend doing that. Karen said you couldn't figure it out. So you have to set up the cart in your back office, and then then you go over to your IsoLife app, and in the bottom right-hand corner, talking really fast right now, there's a little person, and you click on the person, and then it says Share Isogenics. And when you click on Share Isogenics, it'll show you your recommended carts, and then you get to pick their placement, how frequently their auto ship is, and then it gives you a link, and you send over the link. So
that you're not like having someone give you their credit card number. They're in control of that. Some people will feel way more comfortable with that. Yeah,
it's awesome. The other thing, and again, depending on if they're not willing to get on the call, even my last 2 enrollments where people have not gotten on the phone for the enrollment, they're totally open to a welcome call. And when I'm doing the enrollment process, if I have them on the phone and I've gotten their information, whether it's just their product information because of the IsoLife app or everything, I say, okay, so your box is going to be here in a couple days, and we always do a welcome call to get you set up for success, make sure you understand what's in your box, get you really plugged in and supported. What are generally good days and times that work for you? So I set up that welcome call, or at least tee it up so that they know it's coming on the enrollment call. Because if you are on the phone with them and then a couple days later try to circle back, you may like lose that connection, but I'm pretty much always able to set up a welcome call.
So if all of this is like crazy, overwhelming, bringing on way too much, too hard to do, understand that everything we talked about tonight can happen on a 3-way call for you, where you aren't the one doing this. Get someone on a call that can have this conversation that we talked about tonight with your person, with you listening in. This is how you build belief, and this is how you will gain your own posture, is if you start hearing it live over and over again. So don't think you have to do this all yourself. So Heidi and I, and this is not to brag, but Heidi and I have enrolled now just over 200 people personally enrolled. And this doesn't come right away. It really comes a lot faster if you can do 3-way calls and learn that way. Because before you know it, you'll be doing those calls for other people.
Awesome. And then the next time we kind of one of our future calls too will be like, okay, they've ordered and you've teed up this welcome call. Now, how do you make sure they have a great first 30 days? So we will have that training coming up soon. So make sure you watch today's call from noon with Michelle Schaefer. Because I think she was able to elaborate on things more than we can. Yeah, it's really great.
She has posture.
Yeah.
In a big way.
will light your pants on fire. So awesome. Well,
And you know, like anything anyone's dying to ask or say?
I wrote down the questions you didn't get to, and we do have a Q&A in a couple weeks where we will do those plus any others. So you'll see a thing where you can post your questions on the comment thread. But yeah, the ones that weren't covered, I did write down.
Great. I saw them and they were definitely good questions.
Yeah, they were awesome questions.
Yeah, and a lot of them were covered today in the call.
The noon call.
So
it was
we'll still go over them in a couple weeks, but make sure you watch that call. It was dynamite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Have a great week.
So you want to get started?